the unique voting system of the Brownlow medal in the AFL when compared to the NBA and the NFL and even in the Premier League and their MVP awards, it's really aimed to ensure that it's being given to the player who's been consistently the best all season by awarding each game votes from 3-1. And so the idea is that the best player throughout the whole season is the player who will have the most votes, and you don't get some of the questions that you often get in those other leagues where is it a bit more about the recency bias and who's performed at the right time of the season in an instance. And while I think that logic is very fair and it has good merits, I think it's just something that I very rarely feel as though it often is rewarding some of the best players. I think there's a lot of times it does, and that's fair enough. But when you have players, to me, such as Joel Selwood, Scott Pendlebury, and Lance Franklin, who are three players, in my opinion, they're three of the best players of all time for what they achieved in the game, how good they were. I think an argument can be made for all three of them that they are the genuine GOATs of the league. And for neither of them to have won a Brownlow medal and really even been that highly touted as a Brownlow medalist, I think it can raise questions over the legitimacy of the award, or more so, maybe not the legitimacy, but maybe whether it is the right system in place in rewarding the best players in the competition, if that makes sense. And so it had me thinking, just when you compare the NFL and the NBA, how they go about voting for it, and then you look at the AFL where the umpires vote for it after each game. To me, it needs to be taken away from the umpires. They already have so much on in what they're doing, and to be honest, they are struggling with it, with ongoing changes. They're under more criticism continuously. I think it's time that we adopt more of the voting style from the other leagues, and I think we can. It's the first change I would make rather than just scrapping the full 3-2-1, because also the spectacle of Brownlow medal night where you're going through each game, you get a recap of the year. It's fun. You love watching it and seeing that and reliving the year throughout, but the umpires just need to be taken away from the voting decision, in my opinion. And so I think the NBA and the NFL, the way they go about it is they have teams of 50, I believe. NBA like respected journalists and media members, they're the ones who vote on it. And I think that should be applied as well in the Brownlow. I'm sure there are many media members you can find who are former players or just respected journalists that we can have vote for, maybe not each game. I think I would maybe swap it to each round. I think would probably be a bit better. Maybe you go 10-1 for the round. Could be a good way of doing it, but then again, I can see the logic behind the round as well. It's a tough case as well. But to me, it's just the first thing that AFL needs to do is take it away from the umpires. They've got too much on and too many other things to focus about. The last thing they need to be dealing with is the Brownlow. And then moving that, and because, as I said, to me, Lance Franklin, Scott Pendlebury, Joel Selwood are three of the genuine greatest AFL players of all time. And the fact that they've not won a Brownlow to me, but you've got players like Tom Mitchell and Ollie Wines who have, it just kind of doesn't sit right with me as an AFL fan. It just feels as though it's not always a case of the best player winning. It feels like it's the best midfielder. It is the winner. You're never going to get a defender or a forward winning it. Then you've got, okay, so you need to be the best player on your team, which it's fair enough to be the best player in this league. You kind of need to be the best player on your own team. But then you also need to make sure you're not on a team with too many other good players that they take votes away from you, because I think even in recent years, Christian Petrarca has been the best player in the league, and Marcus Bontempelli has been the best player in the league, but they've not won the Brownlow because they've had too many other good players on their team, and that doesn't seem fair either. And so I just think it's time to adjust it and change the way the Brownlow medal is awarded to ensure that we're actually giving the best player in the league that season the awards. And if I could overhaul everything, I would change it to end of the season voting. I would love there to still be a way to do the kind of overall recap of the season, because I do enjoy those nights, but I think first and foremost you need to make sure the award is going to the best players. And so end of the season voting, taking into account the whole season and looking at what a player's been able to drive their team to do, because maybe you've not been on the best team, and that's okay, because you look at awards in the NBA where when Jokic won his as a 6th seed, when Russell Westbrook won his as a 6th seed, it's because they were able to be driving forces of those teams and push them so high up. And it's happened in the AFL where you've had Gary Ablett win the medal for the Gold Coast when they were a bottom of the league team, but that was a so historic season that you just couldn't give it to anyone else. It was impossible. It was the only thing keeping the Gold Coast from being hit by 200 points each week, and so they were developing, and so it's happened. But I don't think it's a kind of consistent enough case. And then when you then got to look at the best and fairest aspect of it. I think obviously you want to award fairness in the competition. I get that being a thing, but when you see some of the acts and things that players are being suspended for, you wonder, well, are you really the best and fairest player in the comp? I mean, you've got someone like Zach Butters is technically eligible for the Brownlow when Isaac Heaney's not, but Zach Butters is the most fined player in the competition's history, whereas Isaac Heaney got 1 week for a contentious call that a lot of people, myself included, don't actually think he deserved a week for. And so that raises more questions. What's the difference between being fined for an action versus being given a week? Because you've still not been fair, because you've done something worthy of a fine, but now you're still eligible for that award. And so I think it just raises too many questions, and it's not, there's too many question marks about it, and too many stipulations, I feel, that go on it to really just being able to go, this was the best player in the season, this comp. Or this is the best player in the comp this season, I should say. And so I think it's something that just the league needs to work on reviewing. They've got a lot of things I think the AFL needs to work on and overhaul, but to me there's just too many question marks when you get to the Brownlow that it's tough to say whether it's actually going to the best player. And I think that's always tough when you're a fan, when you look at the players who have won, as I said, in the Tom Mitchell and the Ollie Wines, but versus players who haven't. It raises questions. I mean, you have someone like Lachie Neale potentially win it this year. He's currently the second favourite to win it behind Patrick Cripps, and that'll be his third. He'll be going down as almost the most decorated player of this generation, and he's an unbelievable player. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve those as being some players in the comp, but I wouldn't say he is the best player in the comp. And so that then comes down to history will remember these awards more than history will be dictated by who won these awards, and that's what people look back on. And I don't think that's always doing players the justice in the legacy, because that does matter when it gets to professional sports, the legacy they give, and they're all about team awards for a lot of them, you believe, and focusing on winning the flag. But those individual awards do matter when you get to a certain point. It's how things like the GOAT debate matter and things like that. So I think it's something that needs a change, and I thought I'd just come out, be a bit of a rant and kind of just get my thoughts out there, as I've been thinking on them a lot lately, and I want to know your thoughts. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the Brownlow. Would you change it? Do you like how it is? What are your thoughts in general? And also let me know your predictions right now, who you think is going to take it out, and I'll do my predictions closer as we get to it. But as I said, let me know your thoughts, and it's kind of been my rant about it. So yeah, let me know. Thanks for listening. This has actually been a clip excerpt from my full podcast, The Armchair Athlete. So be sure to make sure after you've seen this video now, you click on the previous clips, maybe check out the full video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel going forward, and so you can stay tuned and see the full podcast in depth as well. And let me know in the comments below any topics you want me to discuss as well. But I appreciate you guys listening, and check out these videos around here. Thanks.